earlier. And okay, I'm so sorry I didn't give my introduction. I think we have met in the orientation, if you remember me.
Yes, ma'am.
Class? Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
you can address me by my name as well, so I don't need to be called as ma'am. Yeah, so these are the four blocks that has been that we have to study. Every block has 4 units. So the first block is on information processing. Block 2 is intelligence and creativity. Third is language, and fourth is problem solving. So like I mentioned, block 1 has 4 units. Today we are going to look after block 1 and the topics that we have in this block. So block 1, it consists again of 4 units. First one is cognitive psychology, information processing in learning and memory, neuropsychological basis of learning memory, and models of information processing. So can I ask you all, okay, I'll click on this and then we can discuss it. So apart from these notes, you also have so many books that you have to study for this paper, because as a psychology student, you have to justify this degree also, this subject, because it's not about, passing your exam and just reading about a particular paper. You can also refer certain books like Introduction to Psychology by Robert A. Barron, then Introduction to Psychology again by Morgan and King. They're Bibles of psychology, we can say, in the sense they have explained in a very basic language the concept of psychology. So I don't know how many of you belong to the psychology background, but that doesn't matter even if you belong to this background or not. But yes, now it is a responsibility, and you have to take the responsibility. You have to take the charge of studying each and every basic concept of psychology. So to start with the basic concept of psychology, you also have to read on what are the schools of psychology, what is the origin of psychology. So can somebody quickly summarize it? If do you have any information on what are the various origin, or what are the various schools of psychology? Anyone? And class, I really want my class to be very interactive.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, good morning, Sadhna.
So I did some reading, and basically the thoughts or concepts of human mind and knowledge would have been around since ancient Greek time. And so in the very early periods, many theories came about, and two basic theories were by the empiricists, and the other one was by nativists. Empiricists meaning that the person theorized that knowledge came by experience, while the nativist suggested that knowledge came or is based on innate characteristics. So in the early 1637, um, Rene Descartes posited that humans were born with innate ideas, and from that surged two theories. After that, many persons, psychologists, and so on, they defended empiricism and nativism. And in the mid to late 18th century, that was a critical time in the development of psychology, where two discoveries would later play important roles in cognitive psychology by Paul Broca, his discovery to the area of the brain that was responsible for language production, and Carl Wernicke, who discovered an area responsible for comprehension of knowledge. And after that, Renaissance philosophers and theologians seemed satisfied that knowledge was located in the brain. And they agreed that knowledge was acquired not only through the physical senses, but also through divine sources. And further on, certain empiricists like George Berkeley and David Hume, going into the 19th century, other psychologists like Gustav and Franz, they posited and started to break away from philosophy to form a discipline based on empirical results, based on speculation. And by the last half of the 19th century, theories of representation of knowledge were clearly manifested and emphasized the structure of mental representation and the processes. Further down into the 20th century, behaviorism displaced studies of mental processes, And they started to study thoughts such as attention, consciousness, memory, thinking, and all of these for about 50 years. And further down, it's a long history. In the 1950s, interest began to focus on the attention, pattern recognition, images, and semantic organization. And basically, in today's age, we have emerged to this emergence of communication theory and modern linguistics, all of these tied into cognitive psychology, memory research, computer science, and other technological advances. And there's where we are today.
Okay, so thank you, Sadhna. You have explained in a very brief manner the history of psychology. But before that, let me also tell you, you also have to go through the different schools of psychology like behaviorism, functionalism, Sigmund Freud, psychoanalysis. All this also has to be read by you all so that you have a general information, you have a background about what psychology is all about, how it started. So your first homework would be to understand the history and background of psychology. I don't know how many of read it, how many of you have read it or not, but today make sure that you get some time today or by tomorrow, get some time and read the history and background of psychology. Is that clear, everyone? Because that would create a base for you all, because further we are going to talk about different theories that are related to the background of the paper. Okay, coming back, we'll come back to the PDFs that has been shared. Okay, so in this paper, cognitive psychology, now cognitive psychology is a very important paper, as in it is a recent one. It's a recent development in the field of psychology. And we have this term as cognitive neuroscience, cognitive psychology, or developmental neuroscience. So all these different fields has emerged, and they are trying to understand that how our brains are involved in different cognitive activities. Okay, so first of all, we will also talk about the brain areas that are responsible for the cognitive processing. But overall, in this unit, we are going to see what are the different research methods, how research are done in the field of cognitive psychology, what are the domains of cognitive psychology, and yes, and one like Sadhna has already explained what are the historical development of cognitive psychology, like cognition in the Renaissance period, then cognitive psychology in the early 20th century, and now what it is. So now we can say that it has emerged as it has taken the help of science, and it's a new subject which is known as cognitive neuroscience. And you might have learned about certain psychologists also who are also known as cognitive psychologists, and what it is today we will also see. Then we will also see what are the key issues, why do we need to study cognitive psychology, or what is the importance of studying cognitive psychology. Okay, so the key ideas in understanding cognitive psychology is I mean, it has been also been referred as a computer metaphor. So our brain is also referred to computer, or is known as a metaphor in computer. So like our brain, it's a hardware, and our mind, our soul, they're all known as software. So our cognitive activities, they're also known as software. Just giving the example of a computer. Then what is cognitive science? Then what is neuroscience and cognitive psychology? All this we are going to read in this paper. So can I know, have you all read this paper beforehand or not? Class, please reply, because I'll have to switch back to the other window and then.
Yes, we did.
Yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, so can I also have a brief discussion from you all what cognitive psychology is? After reading, what do you think what cognitive psychology is? A very basic, can you explain in a very layman term what cognitive psychology is? What do you think cognitive psychology is?
Cognitive psychology is basically how we as individuals, how we interpret, how we learn, and how we
Yes.
remember and think about information
Yes.
in general.
So cognitive psychology is something where we are going to study the mental process. So mental process. So the our thinking, like thinking, perceiving, remembering, reasoning, problem solving, intelligence, language, memory, all these are known as cognitive activities, right? Don't we perform all these cognitive activities in our day-to-day life?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we do.
Yes, miss.
Yes, we do perform, right? So this is what we are going to study, and
Yes,
we will
miss.
also study. So this is a very basic introduction of what cognitive psychology is. So this is what you are going to say in unit, I mean in 1.1. हाँ, 1 year. अभी later class चल रही है. So this is what we are going to read in this paper, and it's a very brief introduction of cognitive psychology. Coming back to the second point, that is 1.2 cognitive psychology in introduction. Here you are going to find some operational definition. Now, what are operational definitions? Anyone? So operational definition, they are definition which has been researched. These definitions are defined, or they are defined in such a manner where research are done on a particular topic, and that is how we define or we come to develop an operational definition of certain terms. So in this unit, in this topic, you will be also finding what cognitive psychology is, and exactly. So it says that cognitive psychology, they are going to study how people perceive shapes, how they remember things, or how they forget things, how we learn, how we comprehend language, how we express language. All these are the categories or the dimensions of cognitive psychology. That's what we are going to learn in this paper. So here, let me talk about, I'm going to cite two operational definition, or two definitions of cognitive psychology. First, it represents instances of difficulty or failure of mental processes. We rarely think of them unless they fail to work. Failure of mental processes are immediately noticed because they can be frustrating, embarrassing, and sometimes even dangerous. And consequently, such failures become useful tools for the psychoanalysis of mental phenomena. So this is what we also are going to understand why we fail in our mental process, why sometimes we are not able to recall, why it is difficult to recall certain mental phenomena in our day-to-day life. Then cognitive psychology, like it is generally going to study the mental phenomena, as in all the cognitive activities we are going to study, how we process information or language comprehension, what are the brain areas responsible, what is Broca's area, Wernicke area, which part of the brain, if any injury happens to certain part of areas, what could happen, and so on and so forth. Then we are also going to understand, so here we have a definition of cognitive psychology. I think somebody has joined. Let me admit that person. Mm-hmm. Okay, no one has joined. So class, are you able to get me what I'm trying to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so we can define. So the cognitive or the operational definition of cognitive psychology is that it is the scientific study of mind. So the scientific study of mind is not just a very new thing in the field of psychology, because earlier also, when you will study the origin and the schools of psychology, psychologists have studied, philosophers, they were trying to say that yes, in psychology we do have to study, or it is the study of scientific, or it is the scientific study of mind. So this is what again we are going to do in this paper also. This is what modern cognitive psychologists they are going to do. Now let me talk about research. What is a research? I'm sure many, it's a very uh, important term in our day-to-day life, research, or for academics, in the field of academics. What is a research?
We study that research is scientific.
Hmm. Okay.
Uh, So
What else?
the research is basically a way of gathering information and interpreting how the human brain functions, in this particular case with the cognitive psychology. And we can have
Okay,
different
okay.
models of
So,
research. Different models of research,
okay.
for example, using laboratory settings, self-observation, self-reports, and by controlling different variables like independent variables or dependent variables, so that we can obtain the necessary information that we would like to observe.
Hmm. Okay, so in general term, let me tell you, here is a definition again of what research is. So research, now the goal of a research is to collect a data. We have to gather a data We analyze the data through different methods. For psychology students, it is done through qualitative method or quantitative method, which you are going to study even in your MAPC 5 paper. Then theory development, is it a conceptual framework or is it a theoretical framework? Then hypothesis formulation, so you hypothesize, then there are certain hypotheses which needs to be formulated, and then after testing, is it accepted or rejected or retained? So all this you're going to read even in your MAPC 5 and 6 paper. But overall, in general, in psychology, we have a certain procedure to conduct research. Right, so this is the procedure that I've highlighted in the PDF. Then we also understand through research, we also try to understand that how we think. Let's talk about in the field of cognitive psychology, we also try to understand that how and why we think of certain in a certain manner. This is what we are going to study in cognitive psychology, or this is what cognitive psychologists or cognitive neuroscientists have tried to understand through this research in the field of cognitive psychology. So now, being very specific, there are certain different types of research methods in the field of psychology. The first one is a laboratory or other control experiments. So, and we'll talk about this. Like one of you have already mentioned, independent and dependent variable. So this again you are going to read in MSPC 5 paper, because it's more again research has to be done. So I'll not touch that. We'll focus more on our paper. So you can conduct research in the field of this paper in cognitive psychology. You can conduct research in the laboratory, right? Have you ever read certain papers where the research has been conducted in a laboratory setting or in a control setting? So, for example, if I want to understand the impact of a particular meditation technique, I would have to I need to have an intervention group, a control group, and any other group is also if I want to. But if it's a proper experimental research, we definitely need to have a control group and the experimental group, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is what you will see in many other papers also. Then in cognitive psychology, we also have research known as psychobiological research. So how different part of the again. So like again, let me take the example of a meditation technique. If you practice meditation for a certain period of time, which part of your brain is responsible, which part of your brain gets activated, or which part of the brain region is activated, and what are the changes that is happening, what neurotransmitter changes is happening. So that is done in the field of psychobiological research. Is it clear?
Yes, it is.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Then thirdly, we also have self-report measures. Self-report, have you seen 16PF test, 16PF personality questionnaire, or any other psychological tools, test or questionnaires? If not, then again you're going to see in your practical. Otherwise, we have different personality tools, or we have different psychological tools to measure personality, to measure our motivation, in industry setting, and many other things. So self-report measures are, there are certain questions where the participant would answer them, and then based on that responses we come to the conclusion, and then we have raw score, and then we find certain tools or the responses, or the result of the tools. So they are known as self-report. We'll see the example. You'll be seeing that in your practical exam, practical paper also, practical exam. Then case studies. So in psychology, case study has always been prevalent. If you remember, I don't know if you have read or not, but Freud. So when he was doing psychoanalysis, when he was in this field, he have tried to understand people, or try to understand the psychological issues of individuals through case studies also. If I'm not wrong, do you remember if you have read? Or people, those people who are interested in clinical psychology, you will also get to see
Yes.
case study, MSc, mental status examination. So if you want to diagnose, if somebody has come to you for a clinical diagnosis, you are used these case studies and MSc, right? Mental status examination.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Then next is naturalistic observation. So for this, I can give you one example that somebody has texted. Can you speak? Okay, yes, Phyllis, if you have like raised your hand, yes, you can speak. Yes, Phyllis, you want to speak?
Sorry, it was a mistake.
Okay, okay, okay. Yes, Ashok sir, even you are here. आप हैं यहाँ पे sir जी बताएं sir.
Yes, good evening, madam,
Good evening sir. Good evening.
and good morning to all dear students.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good
I
morning,
hope that
sir.
Good morning. Good
good
morning,
morning.
sir.
Namaste.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Namaste.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, good
I
morning.
hope that you are very good morning. I hope that you all are enjoying the start of your counseling sessions from today.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are very
Very
excited
good.
to start it officially.
Yeah, very good, wonderful. I intervened just for a simple request. I posted my request just in the chat box also. I want to request you all, dear students, that whenever you are interacting from your side, when you are speaking, whether you are asking any question to ma'am or if you are replying the question of madam. So I just simply want to request you all that when you are speaking, sharing your opinion or sharing your experiences, kindly switch on your camera for a minute or two, so that it is properly recorded in the Google Meeting recordings. Otherwise, only the icon of your name initials only appear at the screen in the recording. So I hope that you understand my request. Please switch on your camera whenever you are talking to madam.
Understand.
Fine?
Okay, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. And my best wishes. My best wishes to all of you. If you have any query, you can ask ma'am regarding the psychology subject. And if you have any other issues, then you can send us an email anytime.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you sir. Thank you. Okay. Yes.
Best
I
wishes.
earlier also I requested. Yes sir. Thank you. I requested yes to switch on your camera. I was on the other window. That is why I was not able to see you. It's difficult to switch on, right? Yes.
Yes. No problem, madam. No problem.
Okay.
This is just for the a good recording experience.
Yes. Yes. Right. Sir.
Yes. Thanks,
Okay.
madam.
So
Thank
thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. We'll get back to our notes and then. Yeah, so I was explaining a kind of research method. Here it is. So yes, we talked about the laboratory and the control method, psychobiological research, self-reports, case studies, naturalistic observation. Okay, for naturalistic observation, again, I wanted to give you an example. So for example, you have a product and you want to understand that what is the experience of individuals in the market? Are they happy or not? So can you conduct naturalistic observation? How would you conduct naturalistic observation for this, for your product, to understand the feedback of your product?
Good morning. In the case
Yes.
of naturalistic,
Yes, please. So maybe your product is in the market. I don't think so. Anyone is. Am I audible,
To
class?
unmute. You have to unmute, Arlene.
Yes, you are on mute.
yes, sorry about that. Yes, naturalistic observation is the type of observation that you would conduct where a subject is in the natural environment, interacting with that environment. So basically, it's quite straightforward and simple. It's not controlled.
Yes. Yes, And so again, like I gave this example that you have a product, you have designed a product, and you want to understand the feedback of individuals, of the public. So what you could do is maybe you go in the market and see if people are buying it or not, and what are their feedback. You can directly take the feedback of your participants. So it is not control. It happens in a naturalistic setting. It's not a laboratory setting or control setting. It is something which could be very natural in the natural environment, right? Then we have this computer simulation and artificial intelligence. So like a lot of research, a lot of advancement has been done in the field of artificial intelligence, isn't it, in the recent years. And then we have seen that in India we do have courses of artificial intelligence and psychology. So psychology students, they're studying artificial intelligence. Then, and there's this one university also in Allahabad, again in India. So they're trying to understand that how our brain, how our brain reacts in certain situations. So this what do you say, computer applications, how our brain process certain information. So that has been explained through models of computer processing information. So we'll see that in detail again. Now, what are the areas? What are the different areas that cognitive psychology studies? So first of all, psychobiological, again the neurotransmitter, the neurons, the brain areas, the brain regions that get activated, or the kind of habit. So you might have seen even in various research that now cognitive neuroscientists, they could scan. So like they are able to scan certain brain areas when under certain social situation also. So when we meet someone, what happens when we hug our mother, what kind of neurotransmitters we're releasing. All these are studied by cognitive psychology now, and that comes under the domain of psychobiology. Then we have artificial intelligence. So again, I think Facebook is working in artificial intelligence, and there are various apps that has worked on the domain of artificial intelligence. Then philosophy, a very important point. So we already know that like psychology is the child of philosophy and biology. So yes, we do study philosophy, linguistic, our language comprehension, language acquisition, language expression. What happens if a certain brain injury happens? How we are going to express our language? What is the area responsible for certain areas, for certain language expression? Then anthropology. Then we also have social psychology, motivation, emotion, engineering psychology. What is the relationship between human and machine? The interaction. All these are to be studied by cognitive psychologists. And yes, people are studying it, right? So here is a domain, here's a graphical presentation of what cognitive psychology is, and here it has been mentioned also. So we can say that cognitive science, cognitive psychology or cognitive neuroscience, they study perception, thinking and concept formation, attention, representation of knowledge, consciousness, memory, imagery, language, developmental psychology, pattern recognition, human and artificial intelligence again. So the robot, there are various robots that has been developed in India. We have the Sophia robot that has taken a limelight for some time. So all these are product of a human and artificial intelligence. So have you seen any robot? I haven't seen, but I wanted to know your experience. Have you interacted with robots or some kind of instruments, or in like where scientists have used artificial intelligence? Anyone?
Well, ma'am, Alexa and Siri can count as artificial
Yes,
intelligence.
yes. Why not? Alexa, Siri, why not? Yes. So I haven't used much, but yes, okay. Any proper robot? Have you seen anyone? I want to know your experience.
Miss, I went to a restaurant and
Okay.
there was a robot behind the bar who was preparing the drinks.
Okay. Robots, they were preparing the drinks.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So, do we need to give them the order and then they will prepare, or there are some buttons that has to be pressed?
There was a device at the table that you would enter
Mm-hmm.
your order and it would automatically go to the robot, and then
Okay.
the waiter would pick it up and bring it to your table.
Okay, okay. So all these are product of artificial intelligence, and this is what we are going to read. So again, like I've been explaining things in very detailed manner, but yes, I would also want you all to, because all these are counseling sessions, so you have to read and then have your doubts also, right? So this is I've explained them. You can also read them once you're back home. I mean, after the class, you can read them, right? Now, the historical definition, the historical background that has already been explained, we have also already seen. So we can also like talk about what are the early thoughts on thinking, how it has been, why we study them in psychology. So nativist, they believe that there are two types of to answer that how, like here is a question that where did knowledge come from and how it is represented in the mind. So it has been answered by two answer has been proposed, that one is the nativist and the other one is the empiricist. So the nativist, so the empiricist, the first one, it suggests that knowledge comes from experience. They believe that the empirical psychologists, not psychologists, but philosophers, because it belongs to the philosophical viewpoint. So they believe that knowledge comes from experience. So there was this question that how our knowledge comes and why our brain or why mind is represented in a certain manner. So empiricists, they would try to answer. They have tried to answer that knowledge comes from experience, and nativists, they believe that knowledge is based on an innate characteristics of the brain. So nativists have not just worked in understanding the process of thinking, but they have also tried to understand the language acquisition. So they believe that we have a language acquisition device, and then we'll see in the lifespan paper. So that is what they have talked about. Then we have certain philosophers also. I'm sure you might have an interest in Greek philosopher, Aristotle, Plato. All these people are very rich. They have richly described the concept of philosophy in their work, right? So this is what you're going to read. And then yes, all these are research-based studies. And one more thing, you also have to, if you see there are certain research-based evidence that are provided in your notes. So you make sure that if you get time, then do read these citations that has been mentioned here. So here it is again cognition in the Renaissance and the other period. So how basically they would say that our brain, if any injury happens in our brain, then they would just open it up, and there were certain psychologists. Here it is mentioned like William Ward, the various famous psychologists, Sir Francis Galton, Edward Titchener, William James. So all this, when the school of psychology was developed, they all had their viewpoint from the philosophical background also. So they have provided a history of how cognition has developed over the period of time. You will see in here. And the memory also, what are the different types of memory, the models of memory, and how do we remember information, what happens, why we forget. All these are mentioned in this paragraph. Then cognitive psychology in the early 20th century. So again, it has talked about the stimulus response relationship. So for anything to perceive, if right now, if I don't share this PDF or if I don't speak, do you think you'll be able to get this stimulus in the class? No, right?
No, ma'am.
So for that purpose, psychologists or cognitive psychologists, they were also trying to understand that it is very important to understand the framework of stimulus response psychology. So all this is what you will find in this paper, all the historical background, what kind of work has been done by Edward Tolman in the year 1932. They've published a book, Purposive Behavior in Animals and Behavior. What is the connection between stimulus and response? Though the research has been done on rats and animals, but still, like it is believed that our brain resembles to the animals. So yes, they've talked about cognitive maps and cognitive structure. Then Frederick Bartlett, so they have talked about remembering, memory, why do we forget information, what happens when we forget, how to retrieve. All this has been discussed in this topic. Then cognitive psychology as it is today. So again, like if you see, we have talked about the year in 1932 and before that also. Now we are in the year 1950s, and again, what development has taken place, this is what you will find here in this paper. Behaviorism and modern linguistic languages, memory language, computer. So basically now it is about cognitive development through and computer science and artificial intelligence. Then they have also talked about, yes, we are going to read about Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development. This one we'll read in lifespan paper, that is MAPC 2. Then now the key issues. Now, what are the key issues of cognitive psychology? So first of all, we have to understand the concept of nature and nurture, what they say. So now nurture, so the environment, the kind of cognitive development, or even let's talk about cognitive impairment. uh, Earlier it used to take more time for a person to have cognitive impairment. There are certain studies, but now it's very easy for individuals to get affected with cognitive impairments or cognitive decline because of the concept of nurture, or the kind of environment, the pollution, global warming, the stress, the various other factors that is present in the environment. So this is what we are going to study. We also have to study. We also need to understand the concept of nature and nurture when we understand cognition. What is the role of these two components when we are studying cognition? Then rationalism versus empirism. So it is about how we acquire the truth, what the world is all about around us, how we are based, how the information is based around us. So these two information also has to be studied. Then structure versus processes. What are the content? What are the product? What is the focus of human behavior or human thinking, not behavior but thinking? Then domain generality, then versus domain specificity. All this also we are going to read this in this topic. All these are some research based questions. They are not or how do I put it? They're not any evidence. I mean, they're not answers, but these are some questions that we have. The notes has been mentioned. You have to read them. You can refer some research papers also. If you like, you can answer this question by reading certain research papers. Like there's this question on. Should we conduct research in fundamental cognitive process, or should we study ways in which to help people use cognition effectively? So again, after reading this, I think I also have a question, that should we study people by scanning their brain and understand what neurotransmitters or what kind of cognition activities takes place, or should we study by in the real setting or in the naturalistic setting, or should we call it a naturalistic observation? So applied or basic research, and biological or behavioral methods. Again, as a human being, we have two dimension, our brain and our behavior. So what is the relationship between them, the neurotransmitters, the neurons, how they are reacting, why people develop certain psychological disorders or illnesses like schizophrenia or any other psychological illness. So what is the role, what is the connection between biology and behavioral methods? So all these are some questions that has been pointed out in this paper. So these are some key issues that has to be studied in the field of cognitive psychology. Am I clear, class?
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it too much? Am I bombarding the information a lot? Do I need to give some time so that you could absorb the information that I'm sharing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Is it a lot?
Yes,
Yes,
madam.
Yes.
Yes, madam.
Yes, it is a lot.
Yeah.
and some of us don't have any psychology background.
We are understanding, but it's a little bit fast.
It is fast, I know. But what you can do is, so you want some time to read this topic, then only we can.
Yes, because some of us were unable to read due to the delay in login.
Yes. But yes, class, let me tell you, now you have started your course, and it is your responsibility. It is your sole responsibility that you read the notes beforehand. Otherwise, it's going to be really difficult to understand certain things because you're pursuing.
Get to log in.
Yes, we understand.
You didn't get to log in? Log in what? The meeting?
Some of us did not have access to the LSM.
Oh, why is that so?
Because of probably some technical problems and not being able to get the ID, Gmail ID and everything, follow the instructions. So some of us only yesterday we were able to be able to log in.
Yesterday we had a class.
Access to the material.
Ma'am, kindly give me a minute for this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Dear students, first of all, let me talk to Mr. Samuel Sampson. Mr. Samuel, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I am
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
We received your email which you sent to Director RSD at his email
Yes.
address. At his email address, UC Pandey sir wala jo email address.
Yes, I did. I responded to him. I got through and everything was okay. Thanks very much.
Yeah. He asked me to look into your problems and to help you out.
Yes, I did
So,
got through. Thanks
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah.
He sent an email to me
Yes.
yesterday and it was okay. He sent an
Yeah.
email.
Yeah.
After
Yes.
the
Good.
meeting yesterday, after the orientation, he
Good.
sent an email.
Yes, just let me clarify it that these are two different technologies. LMS portal is somewhat different, and we are organizing these counseling sessions on Google Meet.
Yes, of course.
So whenever you want to attend the counseling sessions, you have to log in through the Google Meet.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
What
so,
I go to the LMS and I copy and paste the meeting to the browser and sends you to the meeting.
Yes, regarding this, you all can do one thing. There is a very simple trick for that. I think you all must have noticed that the Google Meeting link is the same throughout all your counseling sessions.
Yes.
It is one and the same link. We are not changing the link every day or every month. It is one and the same link. Have you noticed it?
Yes, sir.
The course,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Course,
Sir.
So
Yes,
yeah,
we did.
yeah, very good. So just to attend the counseling sessions, you need not to go to LMS every day again and again, just to copy and paste the link, Google Meeting link. You can simply copy this link for once and you can paste it in your any other notebook or any other place.
Yes.
And from there you can copy and paste it, or otherwise you can simply click it from that place.
Okay, yes. That would be easy.
So actually, yeah. Actually, I also use this same practice in my computer system in my office. The common links which we have to use very frequently, we just bookmark them. We bookmark them. We save the link, and we save that link as a bookmark in the Chrome browser itself.
Oh, great.
So we need not.
Colleagues, another. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. One other option you can use is if you install Google Calendar on your device, or you open Google Calendar on your browser, and the link will show there automatically.
Yes. So there are many options.
Great, thanks.
Yes.
Sorry.
There are many options. You can learn them. You can explore them.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So I just got the message from my director. He told me about your email, and
yes,
he asked.
to him.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Tell him thanks. Tell him thanks. I said thanks very much.
Sure.
So I think this person, Charmin, he or she has raised their hand. So, Charmin, you
Yes,
want to
please.
say something?
Someone already said it, miss.
Oh, okay.
So my question is, sorry, I was in a motion even though I was doing this last night, and I thought I had it all figured out. So from here, how do I mark? Well, the time is gone to mark present.
Actually, let me share one more information with all of you. Yesterday, we had an orientation program for all students of MAPC of GOAL Guyana. And we requested one resource person, one expert from our IGNOU headquarters, Mr. Vinay Kumar Sharma is his name. And approximately 1.5 hours, perhaps 70, 80 minutes, perhaps 90 minutes, he gave a great demonstration, very detailed demonstration on how to use the LMS, how to mark your attendance, how to find out your courses, your study materials, etc. So I have just requested my colleague at my office to upload the recording of yesterday's orientation program on LMS. Once he gets the recording uploaded on LMS portal, then you can go through that recording. If you had missed the session which we organized yesterday, no issue, no problem. You can see the recording, you can watch the recording of yesterday's orientation program. In that recording, you will find the step-by-step guide, how to perform various activities at this LMS portal. So please don't worry about these things. And as far as missing the attendance of this present session, I think that that there is no issue. I will request my colleague at my office. He can take the attendance of this session through attendance collector. This is one another separate plugin. There is some another plugin known as attendance collector. So I will ask him that please take the attendance of this session. No issue. You please do not worry about these small issues. Please focus on your broader target, your aim of getting enrolled into this program. These small issues we will take care of. So you please don't worry about these things. We will take care of these issues. And please enjoy the session. Madam is going. Madam is teaching through your this unit and your various definitions and various measure points. I am also attending this session. So you please try to learn the basic concepts. These concepts are going to build your base. And if you get the concepts cleared, please try to get all the concepts cleared. Various definitions. You will find very similar looking terms like anxiety, stress, depression. These definitions, these particular terms seem similar to general people, to the layman. But all these things are different in terms of psychology. So various definitions, Madam is covering those definitions very brilliantly, very beautifully. So you please try to focus on these definitions. There are very minute differences among various terms. So please focus on these things. And for other things, you can send us an email and we will address your issues. And you have just noticed that our director is also very serious regarding your various matters and your various issues. And he is just asking us to facilitate you all, to help you all. So please do not worry about other things. Just focus on your learning, gaining knowledge and acquiring skills. Thank you so much. My best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Sir,
you
we
very
have a
much.
question.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank you.
class,
Thanks.
1 second. We have a question that this is a master program and it is not meant to be babysitting. Babysit. So am I babysitting you all?
No, you're not. With that rate, no.
So, and then
No, I
so
don't
there
think that is for you, ma'am. I think it's a student encouraging the other students to read before they come on the class. It's not
yeah,
for
yeah.
you.
So I hope it's not a babysitting or it's
No,
maybe you
no,
might be
no.
saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. But yes, see, we are not in a face-to-face class, so that is why I need that stimulus response. You know, our brain. Uh, if you don't say yes or if you don't understand, then I because we are accustomed to teach face to face, in a real life setting. So online thing is, again, though we have taught here for 2 years, but still for me it's like, okay, I need some stimulus. Are you understanding or not? Because I cannot move to the other topic until unless you understand a particular topic. So I want yes or no, or some kind of response. The kind of stimulus I'm giving, I need to get back the response also. Right.
Madam, what might happen is because we say first class, that's why everyone be shy. But when we get to know one another, we'll,
yes, that is, that is.
And ma'am, let me make one more request to our students. Dear students, to get the full advantage of these counseling sessions, to get the full benefit of these counseling sessions, you must have a advanced reading of the units or the chapters which madam is going to cover in the next session. For today, it's no problem. Madam is covering the topics, but for your tomorrow's session or for the sessions of next week, we both request you, myself and madam also, we both request you. Madam just said a few minutes ago the same thing. I'm just repeating the same thing as madam also just said it. We both request you to kindly have a reading well in advance of the topics which we are going to cover. Only then you will be enjoying more, because you already have got a glance of the study material. You have gone through the unit once or twice. It means some understanding. You are attending the session having some understanding, some basic understanding. So we can further discuss these things in detail with greater enjoyment if you already have gone through the units. And it is expected from all of you in this open and distance learning system. This system works well when the students have advanced reading of the study material.
Agreed.
So then we can add more things, add more examples, which will help you more understand the concepts, the issues, various theories. So please, this is our humble request. Please have a reading well in advance before the counseling session begins. Thank you, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, I think Arlen has raised her hand. If you want to say something, if it is not.
As it relates to the attendance, what I noticed is when you go into the LMS portal, right at the bottom of, for example, we're doing cognitive psychology. There's an area that's marked attendance. Can I share my screen so everybody can see? It's quite simple to mark from there.
So, Arlen, I think sir has already cleared your doubts. So he has mentioned that if you have any doubts or any issue, you can mail to the regional center.
I was able to mark my attendance. I was able to. It was quite straightforward. So I just wanted others to see, so they should not have this problem.
Madam, she wants to give one live demonstration how to mark the attendance.
You want to? Okay, you want to? Okay, you can, please. Please.
Yeah. So you're in the LMS portal right now. We're reading cognitive psychology. If you go to the bottom, it's marked attendance. So you just click right here, and it will take you to the area to mark.
Your screen is not
sharing. Could you share the screen?
The screen is not being shared.
I'm not getting the option to share.
Arlen, I'm sorry, we are not watching your screen.
No, I'm not getting
madam,
the option to share.
You have to share it as a tab. You can't share your entire screen. You would have to select the option to share as a tab, and it will allow you to do that.
Arlene, you want to continue or shall we continue with the topic?
Let me just share it here. Are you seeing my screen now?
No, it is not.
We're not seeing the screen.
I think we should continue.
I think we should
Yeah,
continue
we
the
should
topic.
continue. Should continue,
Alan,
Yes.
please.
Alan, you can do it at the end of the session.
Oh, she get it now.
I think
no
she's
problem.
able to share. Okay, just continue, Arlene.
Now it is visible.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you click on attendance at the bottom, you get to click your session here. So I already clicked present. So when you click here, it would say submit attendance, and you just click on that.
Thank you, Arlene.
And you go back to your unit here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Arlene. That was really helpful. Please mute yourself.
Alim, please mute.
Arlene, yeah. Okay, so do we have any other questions apart from the software related to the topic? Come back to the topic. Yes, we'll continue with the topic. And you have raised your hand, and Rabrio. Okay, fine.
Hi, Miss. Sarah has cleared up everything. Thanks.
Okay, great. So please, lower down your hands, and then we'll continue with the topic. Let me share the screen again. Yes, Denisa, we'll continue with the topic. Okay. So, yes, this is what we were talking about, the different branches of psychology, the key issues that we have been talking about. And here are some key ideas that has to be understood in the field of cognitive psychology. So, first of all, we have to understand that cognitive psychology, or the research that has to be done in the field of cognitive psychology, is an exploratory thing. We explore. We don't know that, like, till now we haven't, we are, as a scientist, or even our scientists, they're not able to identify which part of the brain, or which part of the brain is responsible for memory storage. What happened, class? Okay, I'll continue. So, first of all, when we have to conduct research in the field of cognitive psychology, we have to understand that it is going to be explanatory and exploratory also at the same time. We don't have any empirical data. We don't have beforehand or any kind of previous research. Again, this is a new field. Like I mentioned, it has been developed as it is a recent one. So that is why it's going to be an exploratory and an explanatory one. We have certain tools, certain brain machines that are responsible, or that where we could scan our brain areas, right? So this is what we have to do. This is a basic idea that where cognitive psychologists have to study, why they have to focus their attention upon. Then second is, cognition is generally adaptive, so it is not not in all specific instances. So the kind of environment we have been brought, or the kind of environment we live, so that is how our cognitions are formed, right? So that also has to be studied. Again, we have to have a very broad and open mind thing regarding these cognitive activities as well. Then cognitive process also it is something where we interact with each other, and then we also focus on the non-cognitive processes also. So something like automatic behaviors, or so our cognitive activities, when we get indulged in cognitive activities, either it is consciously where we get indulged into cognitive process, or automatically or unconsciously. So both the conscious and the unconscious process also has to be understood. So dream analysis, there's a pseudo psychology. There are certain components of psychology that comes under the domains of pseudo psychology, right? So those areas also has to be understood. We do have to provide evidence that why we dream, what does happen in our dreams, what way are they coming. So we also, as a cognitive psychologist, we need to understand or provide evidence for certain non-cognitive processes also. Then yes, like I mentioned earlier also, psychology is a scientific, it's a paper which is more scientific in nature. We have standardized tools. We have, you're going to read this in MAPC 5 and 6 paper also, reliability, validity, norms. So once we fulfill this criteria, our test, our psychological tools, they are standardized, right? So even cognition also, to understand cognition, we have to study them in a scientific method. That is why neuroscientists or neurophysiologists or all these people are getting indulged in cognitive in scientific methods to understand cognition. Then apart from this, we also have to understand where we can apply, where we can class 1 second, just a second. Sorry, class, my help, she is disturbing me. Okay. So when we conduct research, so I'll also, so after this topic, I'm not going to take another topic. I'll also tell you how to find research papers. And have you heard about Google Scholars, Google Scholar, or any other platform through which we find research papers?
Yes, Miss.
Yes. So we'll talk about that as well, so that you get to know how research are done, you know. Okay. So here it is. So these are some very key ideas as a psychologist. Even if you plan to become a cognitive psychologist future in life, then you have to understand that these are some very scientific questions or some research questions that could be understood by us. So like I mentioned, these are some very basic ideas that has to be studied by the cognitive psychologist. We also have to understand where we can apply, right? So application is very important. So again, we are lucky enough that we people are in psychology, we're studying psychology. And I'm sure you have come here. I think I should have started by asking you all, and maybe we could have an introduction session, that why you took psychology. Maybe I'm sure you might, or you people might be working in some areas also. Maybe some of your teacher or doctors, or do we have people from certain specific areas and fields?
Yes, Miss Teacher.
Yes, ma'am.
Welfare officer.
Welfare officer. So do you believe, are you able to understand, or did you believe that yes, psychology is going to help or apply, or help you to understand human behavior better after studying psychology? Was that the intention that you came to study here, psychology?
Yes, because in my degree program, I would have done psychology. So
Okay.
I think
So
it
how
can
is
help.
Okay, so I don't know, but maybe I can. I think I'll take the guarantee that yes, psychology is going to help, because in India there are different civil servants, there are doctors, there are nurses, there are students, teachers who are studying psychology, who have worked in their fields, and now they're studying psychology. And they when they come to me and they tell, yes, psychology is really helping us. HR heads, people from different engineers, doctors, all they are coming, and they're when they study psychology, they're able to explain. They're able to explain why psychology is important. So this is what you have to understand, and I'll talk about research also in a while. So this is the key ideas of cognitive psychology. Now, computer metaphor and human cognition. So computer metaphor and human cognition, it is again, like I mentioned, the brain is known as the hardware, and the emotion, the patterns, the motivation, our mind, our soul, all these are known as the software. So very basic, a very simple example I'm giving you. Our brain is the hardware, and the different components or the cognitive, they are known as the human, they're known as the software. Somebody is yawning, and I think maybe I'm like, it's not, the class is not interesting class.
You're bored them or what,
One
miss?
person woke up early, miss. It's not that your class is
We
boring.
had to wake up early.
Tired.
Okay, Okay, so but that's a good thing that you will wake up early in the morning and then exercise and meditate and then you'll sit in the class. So I think you should also start that as well. What do you
Exactly,
say?
miss. Because they have to tell the brain that they have to wake up and get class, so they have to speak to the brain early.
So if you wake up at 7:59 and click on the LMS button, mark your attendance, and then join through Google Meet, that is not going to help you. Okay, so you have to get up by 6 or 6:30 maybe. At least your brain needs 1 hour to wake up fully, and then you'll be able to understand. That is why I'm saying that I need some kind of stimulus response in this class. Okay, so this is what you will be reading in computer metaphor and human cognition. Then here are all they have provided a detailed description of the definitions of cognitive science, and so I'm not going to explain that. I would want you all to read this if you have a particular doubt, and then we can discuss tomorrow. So, but basically, I'll give you an overview of what the topic is all about, like I've been doing till now. So, neuroscience and cognitive psychology. So, this topic is talking about the different uh, machines like MRI, PET, EEG, ECG, all this, not ECG, but EEG, then fMRI, how this helps us to understand the brain areas and the region. So this is what the topic is all about. So yeah, so I'm not going to start the next topic because I would want you all to read and come. And now here is an interesting one. So the first unit, it is quite not boring, but it is more of philosophical and historical. But yes, I assure you that unit 2, 3, and 4, they are going to be an interesting one. So tomorrow we're going to read this unit 2, 3, and 4, and they've talked about memory, like what are the brain areas responsible for learning memory, then types of memory, how do we acquire, how do we learn, then again the different areas responsible for learning, then learning difficulties. All this we're going to read this in this paper. So will you do you want to promise that you will read, or you don't want to make a promise but still you'll read today?
Yes, miss, we'll read.
We will read.
We will make a
Absolutely.
promise and read.
Absolutely.
Inevitably. You read.
So now I am going to show you I'm going to take you through the journey of research also, how you might be seeing that sorry. So here you can see some names, and years, like Carl said 2001, Bruno 1997, 1986, 1978, 2000, just call. Can you see these names?
Yes, we can.
So they are researchers. So in psychology, okay, let me tell you, research is the heart of psychology. So we do have a heart as a human beings, we also have a heart, right? Even in psychology, the research, the concept of research, it is the heart of psychology. So without research, psychology is nothing. So that is why even in your coursework also it is made mandatory to study research, and then you get synopsis and internship and other things, right? So it's very important to understand what research is. Along with the classes, I would also take you through the journey of research, how you can conduct it, why it is important to conduct. Let me tell you the kind of for counseling and clinical psychology. So those students in our country, in India, those students who are studying clinical and counseling psychology, they refer books which has been written by an experienced clinical or counseling psychologist. Why is that so? What could be the reason?
Could you repeat the question?
Repeat the question.
My question is, for example, here in our country, we study psychology, counseling psychology books written by experienced counselors. Why is that so?
To gather information, to gather primary information or secondary information rather.
Okay. Any other responses?
To adapt the same techniques and counseling techniques.
Yes, see,
To
so
ensure
when
that
we
they
write
have
certain
their
so when we write research papers, okay,
You
yes,
can
Cass?
compare.
Yes, you can.
I think you use the word experience because when we say
Yes.
experience, it's like throughout the years they've tested and tested and tested different theories and see which one failed and which one didn't. And so, so because they're experienced and because they've tested and tested, they would be able to have a better opinion of certain things.
Right, right. So experience is the correct word. So we have to study, like we read certain books which has been written by an experienced researcher or psychologist. We read them only, right? Because they have a certain experience that has been shared in the book. So in the same manner, in your notes also, you can see all these are written by researchers. They are not just anything. They are not randomly written, right? So this sentence, do you know that just to write this sentence, a lot of research work has to be done? This is from a particular paper. So this 3 lines or 4 lines, they're not written randomly. They are researched and they are studied very well. That is why they are come, like they're written or cited here. So this is known as citation. So the studies they are referred here, no, all these are cited. So I will want to show you how research paper are searched. So maybe we can refer this paper only. Yeah. So let's click on this point lines and then we can copy and we'll paste it and then find on Google. So it is taken from the paper that was written by Robert Sternberg. Here, again, yeah. So they have written on the hierarchic theory of intelligence. This one we are going to read tomorrow. So all these, they are examples, and let me give you an example also through a research paper. Mhm. Okay. Can okay, let's stress in industry in workplace. So stress in workplace, and then you can type this word PDF. So here are some research papers. So if I want to understand what is the current status of stress at workplace, so these are all research papers, as you can see, causes and management of stress at work. If you click, then work organization and stress. So it's a paper written by S. Miche and yes, so all these are known as research papers. And for a research in psychological reporting that you are going to read, you are going to do in your practical also. So you need to have a abstract, you need to have an introduction or the basic concept or the literature review that has to be done. Then method section. Now method again, it is divided into two areas, qualitative research and the quantitative research. And then the data analysis, right? Data analysis, either you could use SPSS or any other tools to analyze the data, and then the discussion, interpretation, and then you provide evidence. Again, you take the help of a researcher. So all this, as you can see, these are some studies that has been cited. They have been like, to write this research paper, all these other papers, the help or the explanation has been taken from these papers also. So this is how research papers are written, and it's very interesting to read. So you should also make a habit. Now for 2 years you should also make a habit of reading your psychology notes, plus at the same time you should also read at least 2 research paper in a day. So it would be difficult to read a research paper. It will take at least 3 to 5 days to understand a research paper. You don't have to understand all the time, but make sure that you read different research papers so that you understand that what are the different technicalities that has been developed in the research areas, so that you could do research and you could use your experience to conduct certain research and publish it, right? So we know that yes, workplace there is a stress, but you can see in this paper how beautifully they have described the different levels of stress. Wow, how stress happens, the individual, at what happens at the individual level, what happens at the organizational level, what is the role, what is the development, career development, how relationship at work is important to reduce stress or to add to stress. So, a very brief a model of stress at work has been described, our research, and also we'll talk about conceptual framework, theoretical framework. People do develop all these theories when they have to conduct a research or write a research paper. Anna? Yes, class?
Yes.
So, this is how you read your research papers and all. Then I can show you one more paper. So, they have talked about uh, like, so it's a PDF, it's a notes on how stress works, but I think I'll just find a proper research paper again. So here is an abstract of the topic. Here's the purpose. Here is the methodology. So this thesis has been made using qualitative approach with a descriptive and exploratory case study approach. The data used are collected through conducting semi-structured interviews with 6 different employees from this company and as a therapist at the company. Then findings, what are the findings? So I think I would also give you a homework on how reading a research paper. So make sure that you read a research paper today if you find some time.
Question.
Yes.
Are there particular researchers that you would recommend, or do we just go and read random research papers?
Yes, you can read random research papers, but for you all, what you can do is you can take researchers or research articles from the notes that you're referring from MAPC-1. We have talked about Unit 1, right? Information processing, cognitive psychology. So there was this name, Driscoll 2001, Kilsey 2009, all these research papers that has been cited in your notes. So you can read them, just give a reading, just reading. I'm not going to ask any question what was the research all about, but just give a reading because you need an understanding of what kind of research is done in the field of psychology. Okay,
Very
so
well, thank you.
So let me tell you, your 2 year is going to be very theoretical. Theoretical in the sense you have to read, acquire a lot of information, and then only you are going to apply all these theories and ideas in your workplace or in your personal life or wherever you want to apply it. Okay, so it's going to be very theoretical. It's going to be boring also, but I think you can make it interesting by studying all the time with a pure intention that yes, you want to study. Yes, Amber, you have a question. Unmute yourself.
Sorry. Good morning. In terms of the research, sometimes when you do try to access, you may just have the abstract. And then if you want more in-depth information, you may have to, either they say you have to pay, but does your university offer any login code or reference so we can have direct access to more detailed research outside of the abstract that they might provide?
Yes, I think yes, YouTube, somebody has mentioned that YouTube is a great substitute, but you will not find the research papers, Daniel. You will not find the research paper. But yes, I can talk to the university if there is any subscription to certain journals, then I'll let you know. Definitely, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So you can also, one more thing, you can also go on the Google Scholar, Advanced Google Scholar, click on Advanced Google Scholar and then copy paste the DOI of the research paper. Yes, e-library if you have. Let me check with the university if we have, then why not, we can share. I don't know if, we'll let you know if it's there, then definitely. So can I, the agenda of the class, have we fulfilled? Were you able to understand the first unit, Unit 1? It was more of theoretical and philosophical. Was it like helpful in any manner?
It was helpful, but as we continue to read, of course, to understand more. As you said, we cannot grasp all now, but the basics I got, at least I got the basics, and other than that, we will get it better.
Yes. So you also have to understand that each and every topic, explaining each and every line would be difficult because we just have a limited number of classes. So what you could do is you could read beforehand, have your questions, write your questions, and then we can discuss on certain questions also. But at the same time, I'm going to promise you that I'll be talking about all the models and the theories. I'll be talking about them anyway. All right. So I'm going to talk about the theories, the important theories. So even in case if I don't explain a particular stanza or a paragraph, it means that you'll be able to understand by yourself. So don't think that you are left with something. But yes, the important theories, models, I'm going to definitely explain that. But the condition is that you read and come, then only you'll be able to relate what I'm trying to say. Okay. Okay, class. So this is what, and yes, Junior Basant, you raised your hand.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Yes, good morning.
Responding to one of my colleagues
Good morning.
regarding free papers to to read research papers. There is this website, PDF Drive. It's based out of the UK. And it's basically a website that you go and search for documents, and they have a whole heap of free full papers that you can access. So just the information that you can actually look into.
Sorry, good morning. Junior, could you repeat that, please?
It is PDF Drive.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you can try it out. They have a lot of information. They also have a range of books and all of these things there. It's all free also.
Yes, definitely. You have to also read a book by Robert A. Barron, Introduction to Psychology. It's a very basic book, so make sure that you read this book, Robert A. Barron. Let me write in the chat box also. So make sure that you read this book daily. You don't have to finish in one day, but take some time and understand, absorb the information that has been provided there. Okay.
Miss, could you repeat the name of the book, please?
Yes, Introduction to Psychology. So they have explained all the basic concepts of psychology in a very simple language, and I'm sure you'll
Miss,
be able
could
to
you repeat the name of the author that wrote the book?
Robert A. Barron. I've written in the chat box. Robert A. Barron.
Thank you, Miss.
Okay, thank you, class. So, any questions? You just want to go through the PDF and then we can have a certain question because we're still left with time, half an hour. But I don't want to take you further because you're not in a position, everyone, to understand, I guess, right now. Yes. Vaughn, you raised your hand.
Yes, Miss, I'm here listening to you. Very informative session as it relates to the psychological analysis of our mindset. But I'm still trying to brainstorm a question as it relates to what really control our brains, right? For us to decipher certain information. So I'm just asking you, can you expand a bit as it relates to our brain setting and so forth?
So I don't think so. There is something which controls our brain, but it is our thoughts, It could be either positive or negative. So thoughts, they cannot be controlled. We are always in a state where either we are positive or either we are negative. And depending on the environment, the kind of stimulus that has been provided, so the kind of response that our brain is going to, behave in a certain manner, it is dependent on the stimulus that we get from the environment, right? So I don't think so there is any particular area that or is there any entity or something that controls our behavior, but brain, but it's our behavior, it's our experience which tells us to do. It's our you are also going to study social psychology. So in the field of social psychology, you will also understand that why we behave in a certain manner, like what are the rules and regulation. You are also going to study, if not, then you do studies abnormal psychology. So what is the difference between abnormal and normal behavior or psychology? Then there's this book by, I don't know if I should share it right now, but I think I'll share next time, not now. Let me tell you, because again, it's going to be very heavy one. It's a heavy book, so let me not take you there. But yes, answering to your question, Bon, it's our thought. So it could be either positive or negative, and you as an individuals, you could decide. For example, have you heard about the humanistic psychology or the positive psychology?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, if you've heard about this, so, yes. So Freud, he believed that we have certain drives, our sex drives, our instincts, our death drive, or instinct. All these are something which drives us. But in humanistic psychology, they believe that we have like we human beings wants to self-actualize or wants to achieve our highest potential. Okay, so I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, but to my experience, there's nothing which controls your brain or behavior, but it is your experience that controls your brain. Okay.
So at the end of the whole setting, is it all about the choice and consequences?
Yes. The social psychology, the social setting, our environment, the stimulus response behavior, the stimulus response connection.
Miss, added to the stimulus, which drives the message to the brain. How about dreams? When we dream, there is no stimulus there. So I don't know how that works.
Samuel, I think I would not be able to answer that question because scientists also have not able to answer this question in the sense that understanding dream analysis or dream interpretation, still it is studied in the field of pseudopsychology. This, so pseudopsychologists they are studying, So mainstream psychologists they would say that dream analysis and all this are pseudopsychology. So they're not going to study. So I'm so sorry, I'm not going to answer this question.
Right, Miss, thanks.
But yes, coming to, I can share my personal experience or what I have read. So there is an understanding. Still, we're researching in this field. So what happens? I think my personal experience or the kind of things that I've read. So it is. I believe that maybe the things that is bothering us or the unconscious motives. If you remember from the Freudian concept of school, so they believe that the unconscious motives, they if there is something which is at the unconscious level, so it's going to come in your dream. So
okay, I did that. I did mathematics at university first degree, and sometimes you're working on a sum and you don't get it out. Maybe when you go and sleep, you get it out, right? It's like subconscious mind is exactly what you said there, Miss. But sometimes you don't even think about something, but you dream it. So I don't know. Mine is very funny.
So I just can't say that it's our past life or it's our maybe future. So we do have claims it's our past life, it's our future, or maybe telepathy or all the stuff. But I don't have any personal experience or research-based evidence, so I cannot answer to that question. So why do we get certain dreams? For me, maybe it's a not manifestation, but yes, maybe some of the other kind of experience. Even I've seen that. Maybe in future I'm going to see that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm so sorry, Samuel. I'll not be able to answer that.
No, it's just a curiosity question. It's good to
yes. But yes, you can research and again, but though it comes again in the field of pseudopsychology. Yes. I know. I expect this kind of questions because whenever we study psychology, we are going to expect this kind of questions.
I can't remember offhand when I did some psychology. Is when we think in our everyday life, when you have a second guess in your mind, you're saying that I should do this and I should not do this. I think it's what Ed and Ego. I can't remember. It's three of them that's be fighting the one. I can't remember offhand because I've done that.
Ego and the super ego.
You're going to read this. You're going to read this in your social psychology in your MPC 3 paper, personality. So your ego, super ego, conscious, unconscious, subconscious, pre-conscious, the level of consciousness, all this are going to read. Don't worry. You'll get to answer this question in MAPC 3 paper. Don't worry. Okay. Yes, Abigail.
Listen, as you said,
yes, June.
We don't know what controls the brain, and what about the role of neurological impulses and some disorders like severe mood swings, like the one they call bipolar, or sometimes they tell us, oh, it's how the brain is wired, that we have dyslexic people, but how do we study that? How do we know that, what is meant by how the brain is wired?
Is the brain affected by emotions? Because male and female have different emotions.
Yes, definitely. Our neurotransmitters, our neurons, all this we'll study in Unit 3. I promise we'll study this. Yes. Avinash-ji, you have a question?
Yes, Miss. I just have one little curiosity with regards to our classes. For each class session, will we be covering one unit just to get an idea how to prepare for the reading?
No. So tomorrow I'll try to complete Unit 2 and 3.
Okay.
So that depends on discussion and that depends on how well you want to understand. Because today you guys also feeling sleepy, so I don't want to start with the second unit. Okay. So anyways, we'll complete unit 2 and 3. And I can take question from unit 1 also if you are comfortable having any, if you get a question. Yes. Okay. So Avinash is done. Abigail. Yes. Abigail, you have a question?
Yes, just a bit of curiosity concerning dreams. I know sometimes you dream about persons, but they're like strangers to you. But I heard somewhere that everyone that you dream about, they're persons
You
that
have
you would have
already
met
met.
in life. You've already met them. So it's like I'm walking down the street and I pass somebody, and that person would inadvertently be in my dream at some point. Is that how it works? Because
Yes.
sometimes
Even I've
you know,
read
like
that the same thing. Even I've
okay.
read the same thing that maybe we have met the person maybe, or maybe we're going to meet that person in future. So either it's the past or the present. Past and the future.
Okay.
There was a theory that says that dreams are illusions. Are that true?
I haven't read this. I'm sorry. Sorry, no
It's a
comments
saying.
on
It's a
this.
saying. It's a proverb or something, or some saying or something.
Yes. If it's a research-based evidence, then you can do follow.
Those are not research-based. Those are just like myth or something like that.
Okay.
Yes, Dennis, you have
one other thing. I don't know if this might be helpful, but I would go to YouTube and do crash course psychology. I look at those videos and I find that they're very helpful from the very beginning straight through. They start with cognitive psychology and so forth. So maybe you guys can check it out.
Yes,
It'll
yes.
be very helpful.
Yes, we do have scientists who are working in the field of dream, cognitive neuroscientists, developmental neuroscientists. They are working, but right now I cannot provide you with certain evidence because it is not published or they're not scientifically proven. So we have to wait. But yes, research is going on. You can definitely study it. You can go through them.
Good morning, everyone. Those questions
Yes.
are very entertaining.
Yeah,
Miss,
it
but
is.
I have one question pertaining to our class. I would like to know if after every block we would be examined, like have an examination or an assignment to submit.
So I think last time, our professors have already explained that you would be getting assignments from particular paper, that is MAPC-1, and for exam also you are going to write as a whole. You are going to give the exam, not individual units.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Miss, is it at the end of
Yes.
because I noticed the course is modular. So we're doing all MAPC-1 and nothing else. And at the end of April or whenever it ends, we're gonna have your exam. That's it,
No,
or November.
we are going to read everything MAPC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. After we're all done this in August, and then in August or maybe I think October will be like given the exams or something.
Thank you,
Miss,
Miss.
Miss?
Yes.
What about
Could
the
you say-
assignments?
The assignments, you will be getting it soon. The notification will be out. Don't worry.
Miss, could you say when in October will be the exams?
October, I just gave a tentative date. Like since you're finishing your classes in August, so I just gave a tentative. It's not October, so don't assume it's October. Just
Because
tentative.
I will be on
I think they said
vacation,
the
so I
exams will
want to
be
know.
in December.
Yes, we want to know if the exam is in December because I would be out of the country for a
Okay,
month.
The admin
class,
said
then you
that
can
the
check from the
exams will
notification.
be in December.
Okay, you
thank
can
you.
write to RC. You can write to RC. Class, sorry, it's not October, but yes, you can write to RC, to the center. Okay, so we do have some questions. Yes, Amanda. Amanda. Amanda, you've raised your hand.
Since we gain knowledge from experiences, how can we decide what
Amanda, you're not audible. Can you please join again? Like your voice is echoing.
Amanda, you have turned on your other device.
Yeah, I think she has joined from 2 devices.
Or you need to log off.
Shall I remove? No. Oh.
She said to check the chat, miss.
Let me check the chat. Okay, so yeah, which one? Which is the question? Since we gain knowledge from experiences, how can we decide that what experiences to engage in? Because again, the social setting, Amanda, the social setting. So the social psychology, you'll study this in social psychology also. So our society, our rules, our norms, they decide us. You know, so the norms and the societal norms which has been set up by the society or by the environment, through that we are going to understand from our experience that should we engage in this behavior or not. So very basic example, if somebody is caught, like if drug use of drug is illegal and you the person can be sent to jail, would you do you think you'll be getting engaged to that particular behavior? No, right? So the societal norms that has been set.
Yes, you're right, miss. Societal norm, because in certain society, drug is a norm. Like in Jamaica, some society, drug is a norm. So that's not societal norms. You're right, because what some society accept, some might not accept.
Yes, the societal norms, because culture also, you are going to also study culture. So you'll get a very interesting paper on culture and intelligence, culture and personality, culture and creativity, culture and personality, like I mentioned. So culture is a very important factor to explain various psychological domains.
Excuse me.
Yes, Ryan.
So in addition to the answering Amanda's question, in terms of learned behavior, that can be a good approach, because take for example, if an adult or a parent who commits some criminal activity, thief something, and the children witness this, they can learn it and they can practice same in future setting. So it always deals with learning, learned behaviors.
Yes.
You're right. And as Miss rightfully said, it's nature, nurture. Some things can be innate and some things can be learned from the environment.
Behavior can be learned and behavior can be unlearned too. So just like how persons with learned behavior, that behavior could be unlearned too.
Yes, nature and nurture, the concept of nature and nurture. So if a child is a children to doctor parents, it doesn't mean that he or she would be a doctor only. Or if somebody if the parents is a thief, it doesn't mean the child is also going to be a thief. So it's the nature and nurture. And yes, we are going to study learned helplessness. All this will study. It's coming. This is just a very basic introduction class of MAPC-1. You'll study in Unit 2, MAPC-2, lifespan and how we learn our environment, our hormones, all this study. We're going to study in MAPC-2. 3, personality, society, norms, all this stuff we are going to study. And 4, you would be studying about social psychology, the different theories, all this you are going to study. Don't worry. All right, class.
Miss, if I may say something. From
Yes.
what I'm getting from a lot of the students, persons who really don't have a very deep background as it relates to psychology may not understand that it's very scientific in nature. So even though it has a philosophical background, concepts like dream and consciousness and so on cannot be scientifically measured. So in psychology, those concepts are not studied. What psychology deals with is the actual mental processes, what we can observe and analyze. So while those things may have some funding, they go into metaphysics, as we would say, like dream interpretation. Even though Sigmund Freud would have had some works on that, those older schools of thought are not very much applicable today because of the way psychology is going in the new direction, because we're looking at it from a more scientific perspective. So as a suggestion, as you would have suggested, the introductory to psychology for persons who don't have a background, they really need to read up to understand the origin, the history of psychology, the old schools of thoughts like structuralism and functionalism, And now why we moved away from them and we're dealing with concepts such as cognitive psychology, humanistic psychology, psychoanalytic psychology, and so forth. So I think it's necessary that we start that reading as early as possible so we can all, move forward on the master's level, because those would be very much foundation knowledge that you should have before entering this course. Thank
Yes,
you.
Arlen, I think you have set the background that why we need to study the background of psychology. So you have provided a very brilliant answer on why to start with the background of psychology. Yes, so do start with that. Sweetland, you have a question? Sweetlanda, yes.
Yes, good morning to you, Miss, and my fellow colleagues. My question that I want to ask is in regards to the assignment. Is there a particular structure that you want or you expect from us as it relates to doing the assignment?
I will also, yeah, in the next class.
I don't know if the master's
See, for
program
the assignment,
requires of
yeah, so it is so the university is going to give the notification on the assignments, but yes, I can definitely help you all how to write an assignment. So for that purpose you need a research paper. For that purpose also you need to start reading research papers so that you can write your assignments. Up to date assignments has to be written so that you score good marks.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
How much time will we be given to complete the assignments?
I think 1 month or something. I don't know. I'm really scared to give any specific time or dates. Just wait for the notification from the university. I promise next time I'll get the information. I'll talk. So I've been handling the master program in India. But what is your procedure and structure? I'll definitely read about all this and come back in the next class. Though you can write to the university through the emails, but still I'll read and come back. I promise that.
Miss, I saw on the website or somewhere there are some old exam papers. Probably you could practice with that. It's the same courses them, different years, like I think. Yeah.
So you'll be
Use
getting
them.
those kind of questions only. Yes, you will be getting those kind of questions.
Yeah.
How do you get onto the website, Samuel?
I think I download. I will share it in the chat. In the we have a chat. I can send it after classes.
Thank you.
I think it's on the, it's on. I can't remember if it's the Google platform. It's on the portal or somewhere. One of the two. I can't recall.
Thank you.
It has different
Share
years
it in
of
the
papers there, up to 2021. I think.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Josh. Yes, we can take your question, Joseph, or how do you pronounce? I'm so sorry. I'll be bad with names, pronouncing your
Hello.
names. Yes.
Hello, it's
Yes.
Josie.
Yes, Joseph.
Yeah, so going off of what Arlene said earlier, my question is, for those of us who already have our background in psychology, how can we expect for this master's course to advance that? Because presently, like for today, it's all of what we would have learned like very first year in our first degree. So how do we expect to be able to interact with this course in a way that helps us advance what we already know past these foundational things?
Okay. So first of all, you have to read the book Introduction to Psychology by Robert A. Barron. This PDF, the one I shared. And thirdly,
Well,
research
what I'm
papers.
saying is like for us who already have that background, like we already have our degrees in psychology, and now we're looking to do this master's. And like, for example, like for today, these are things that we already know because we already went through and studied psychology and we already have these foundations. How now in this master's are we expecting to advance what we already know as it relates to cognitive psychology, social psychology, the lifespan, etc., given that we already know these things?
So you're asking, you already know this information. That's what you're asking?
Yes, I'm saying for us who already have this background in psychology, how
Please Joseph,
turn on your camera.
it was your choice to be in this course, right? So you would have seen the syllabus, no? Like what are the things that you're going to study. But yes, I think at the advanced level, I can help you with the research methods, what kind of research is done. And but anyways, I think I don't know. I think we are going to. It's going to be a bridge between starting in the background and then for the advanced learners, what we are going. Maybe you can read more. That's what I could suggest, and you could mm, like talk on research papers and like focus more on research papers. That's what I think you can do. Or maybe it's a revision. Yes, somebody of you have written a revision. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you had a master degree already in your like, did you get a master degree or something?
No, I'm referring to like if you already have like your bachelor's of science in psychology. So now you're on this master's level to basically get more advanced in like to basically master your area. So because I already have my bachelor's, I'm looking to be more of a professional in this course. So that's why I
Okay,
asked
so
how
yeah,
can
for
we
specialization.
advance exactly.
Okay, I got your
So
question.
that was
I
my
got your question. So
question. So I don't know if we're going to stay on the introductory stuff.
yes, so just I think you are going to get the specialization the second year. So you could choose between clinical counseling and the industrial psychology. So once you read these three, you'll get a specialization in a particular field.
Okay, but I'm mostly asking more about like the advanced learning, like going above the introduction and the foundation.
Advanced learning, you can read more. Yeah, you can read more, and you can read like. Do you have any information on knowledge and research writing?
Yeah, so like in my first year, I would have already done like a dissertation and a thesis and stuff like that.
So qualitative research, quantitative research, thematic analysis, content analysis. Have you all done this?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I don't know what should I do with you then?
Recommend a PhD program, yes.
Yes, get a PhD program.
The person is not turning on the camera for us to see who is the person.
I think
Please
that
recommend a PhD program.
it's
Short,
possible.
short.
I don't think it's possible to have learned everything in the degree program because I also did a degree program, and you'll realize that everything has stages. So when you first come into something,
That is my question. So like because I already have the foundation, I have my bachelor's, how can I expect in my master's to have that more advanced? How can I expect to go above and beyond that? As like for example, for today, these are things that I would have already gathered in the very first year of my bachelor's. So that's really good.
Because I am thinking that you are preempting this whole program. Everything starts at a particular level.
But that's why I'm asking the question to answer, like, when
you have to take
exactly
into
do we begin those
consideration
things?
because you have to take into consideration that having done psychology already, I think you have to take into consideration there are different level of learners in every program that you do. And every program that you do would start at a particular level. If you already are at this level, then there are other readings, I think, that Madam is saying. There are other readings that you can go on to. Probably you can attend this session just because you need to mark your attendance. But because you would have already done that, what you can do is go on to advanced readings. Maybe you can contact Madam and she will tell you what advanced readings you can go on to. So that I think would be a viable option.
Excellent, Ms. Beverly.
I would like to share also that one of the things we have to take into consideration, because I know some people here have already done probably social work or psychology in their first degree. We have persons who are doing this master's program who have not done that before, has no background in psychology, hence why we have to start at, we could say, the beginning. So even if some persons here have done it, I don't have a problem. It's like a refresher. It's something to bring back this knowledge, because some of us did our degrees in social work or psychology years ago. We may have forgotten this knowledge. So I believe that this is something that we have to realize, that the course here, it's not just for persons who have this background, but persons are coming from different disciplines and fields who have not had an introduction to this background. So if you are in that position where you've already done these stuff, or studied in this field, then just take it as a refresher. Do your extra research. The minute things that some people have to do, you don't have to do. So just
Maybe
take
you
it
could
like
help
that.
us too. Maybe
Yeah.
this could help us too.
That's not a problem. But
That's how I feel.
I
question was
support
more
you,
like,
Nisa. I support that. I
when
support
around
what
in
you
the
said.
course you would start those things. That is more of the question. I don't have a problem with the refreshers. But the question is